Silver.com. Give us a generous donation.
Getting ready to bring out our fourth fight of the night. Combatant Sarah Barker, who is the Beast, taking on Katie Stephenson, the Killer from Astral Bell Media. And, word on the wire, we're backstage, Chad, is that this was one to look out for. Apparently, both these athletes, firecrackers, been preparing hard. They're eager, they're antsy, they want it. And I know it's going to be hard to top that last one. I know it's going to be hard to top that last one. But 23 fights in total tonight, and they all have the ability to top one another because it's a great night of action.
And I believe Sarah Barker's coming out first, and there's quite a crowd by the entrance. So clearly she's popular.
Sarah Barker.
Oh, the Beast Barker. So antsy, she almost walked over to the blue corner, Chad.
We haven't seen a bad walkout song tonight either, Cody. Every song is just getting everyone amped up.
I know, it's fantastic production. It really is. I think a lot of athletes, you dream of competing on a card like this. Never mind competing on your first fight ever. Never mind, only having trained in the sport for 3 months and having an opportunity like this. But this is a full spectacle. You got the lights, you got the announcer, you got the commentating team, which are doing a fantastic job, Chad. But everybody comes together and makes it a real fight night feel.
Let alone the historic CBC building that's taking place in.
I mean, the venue's second to none. It's high ceilings, it's spacious, it has a raucous crowd. You really cannot go wrong. And we see Katie Stevens bringing in this moment, enjoying it, We go from a little gangster rap to a little country music, but both of them get you fired up, Chad. And that's exactly what we are heading into the fourth bout of the night. Corner actually having trouble getting the robe off of the glove. So that tells me, big glove, big hand. Big hand, you do not want to be hit by that. And we will see Katie Stevens packs the power that her name, the Killer, would suggest.
I don't think Sarah Barker looks intimidated at all.
The fourth fight of the night. Introducing first on my right, fighting out of the red corner. She comes into the ring this evening representing Innocent. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Sarah the Beast Barker! And her opponent on my left, fighting out of the blue corner. Tonight she represents Astral Bell Media. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Katie the Killer Stephenson!
Killer Katie taking on the Beast Barker. And I think you're right, Chad. Both athletes look really composed here.
Yeah, you know what? Every fighter tonight has looked composed, and to me, that's amazing. For many of these people's first time walking out under the lights with all the crowds, everyone filming on the cell phones.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you see that everywhere. Everyone's got the phone out. All eyes are on you. All the attention's on you. You're literally in, it's a dark crowd, and there's a bright stage, a ring, and you're standing in it, and you got to go perform.
Sarah Barker's swinging for the fences there, but she gets caught. Like Katie Stephenson said, I'm fine.
Sarah Barker came out aggressive, throwing big punches, but Killer Katie, living up to the moniker so far. That was a great shot, and it certainly caused a lot of damage.
Getting a standing account, she yelled, I'm fine, right away, so here we go.
She seemed fine when she went down, but she definitely went down hard, it seemed like.
Both girls applying the punches in bunches, but both with power. Big right hands from both sides.
This is going to be a battle, Chad. This is going to be a battle of the right hand. Both girls seem very comfortable with that particular weapon, and we're seeing very little range here. It's get in range, get closer, and load the big right hand.
And they're sticking with those jabs, and then boom, big right hand.
Both of them having moments. This is very close so far.
Yeah, and the Killer Stephenson, she's actually a southpaw, so first southpaw we've seen tonight, which opens up both fighters to the hooks, which is exactly what we've seen so far.
And I think maybe that's the stylistical clash here that you're having, orthodox fighter versus southpaw fighter, and maybe that when they're throwing those exact same punches, they're both connecting. What we're seeing with Sarah Barker is whoever gave her the nickname the Beast was 100% correct. This girl comes as advertised. She is strong. She is durable. She wants it. She is hungry.
And both girls, you can see right there at the end, biting down on their mouth guards, throwing overhand rights and lefts. And I will say this, for Sarah Barker, it's a lot harder for her to train for a southpaw than it is to get Katie Stephenson to train for an orthodox fighter. So good on her. She landed a lot of big shots. She ate some, but she's not intimidated at all.
Yeah, with Katie Stephenson, you got to assume that the majority, anyways, of her sparring would have taken place with Orthodox fighters. Most of the members on her team are Orthodox fighters. Whereas if you're Sarah Barker, you don't have a whole lot of southpaws that you can work with. You don't really have that look. And what she's doing is she's neutralizing all that. She's neutralizing all the potential flashiness and the potential unorthodox nature of the style by just being aggressive and closing that pocket, and closing that distance, and getting on her opponent thoroughly. But it's a great bit of matchmaking, because Sarah Barker's style of just being aggressive and overpowering opponents, that would break a lot of opponents. But they've found her an opponent in Katie the Killer Stephenson that is unbreakable. Maybe it's two objects clashing, and it's going to be a battle of wills, and those are always the best types of fights.
And both women are good to go, so it's one of those fights, Cody, where I'm glad I'm not the referee, you know? Got to get in there and break these two aggressive ladies up. And it looks like we're having a little equipment issue here on Sarah Barker. Maybe her hair's tangled up in her headpiece.
I think the rule is you can't have ponytails hanging below the headpiece in amateur boxing. At least certainly not in Ontario. So they're just making sure that the hair is not hanging. It's got to be tucked in upwards underneath the headgear.
And that's a good rule, because every once in a while, especially in amateur boxing, you see people turn and kind of do a circle to avoid punches, and you don't want hair whipping someone else in the face.
I tell you, in the heat of action, anything can happen. I'd be more worried about these big punches from the Beast Barker, but all the same, safety always does go. And she's working the body.
She is working the body. She's been sticking that jab and then coming with an overhand right to the face or right to the stomach. She's mixing it up nicely, and that's keeping Katie Stephenson guessing.
You know what? I would put Sarah Barker in against a lot of people. This style is just overwhelming, and we're seeing maybe if she fatigues, she won't be able to apply this pressure, but so far so good. It's just punch after punch after punch after punch after punch.
And Sarah Barker's nose is bleeding a little bit, so obviously the killer is landing some jabs because...
Well, Katie Stephenson is fighting an excellent round so far, even though all this tremendous pressure is being applied to her. She's being smart. She's seeing that when Barker comes forward and throws those punches, almost sometimes seemingly both hands at a time, that there is an opening, that she might be a fresher fighter. She might be a little bit quicker. And whereas she does have to overcome all this early, the longer the fight progresses, and we're seeing that certainly this round, she is landing the better punches.
Yeah, it looks like Katie's kind of found her range. And Sarah has too, but the problem is it looks like Sarah's getting a little tired, and those gloves feel extremely heavy when you're tired.
And what we're seeing too, Chad, sorry to cut you off, is in the first round, Barker had big power in that right hand. She was coming through almost recklessly and landing it. And what we're seeing now is that the power's not quite there anymore. She is throwing the right hand, but maybe it lacks a little bit of the zip. And that could be many things. That could be the anxiousness, the energy. After you get that first round out of the way, then you get the adrenaline dump. And after you get the adrenaline dump, then all of a sudden your legs start to feel like they're weighted down by lead, and the gloves get heavy, and the breathing gets heavier, and all these things kind of fall off the rails. But if I'm judging this and I'm looking at Sarah Barker having a fantastic first round, both women had a very good first round, but if you give a slight edge to Barker just on those power punches, well, in that second round it gets interesting, because maybe Katie Stephenson doing a little bit to pull herself back into the fight.
Of course. David Argyle, the owner of the
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Dave, Cody, nice to meet you.
And we are back in action here in the third round, and it looks like Sarah Barker has got her energy back.
Well, sweat is flying ringside here, Chad. Both women definitely want it. You have the sense of urgency that this fight might be 1-1 coming into the third round, and who wants it more? Who has the desire? And what we're seeing is lots of heart from both of our combatants.
Ooh, big right hand.
Sneaky left. And you'd mentioned the fact that she was a southpaw fighter, and maybe we're starting to see some of that. Maybe we're starting to see some of that awkwardness is being effective now that she's got her opponent a little bit tired.
Yeah, but it looks like Sarah Barker here has found a second win here in the third round, because she's coming forward, but she's kind of slowed down now. And there is something to be said about the bloody nose, because that is a mental game, Cody, in the fight game.
Yeah, I almost look at it as a fact that she's game, she's here, but what more does she have left in the tank? She's pushing at this point, Chad, fully based on heart. And that's something that you can't teach a young fighter. That's something you can't show a developing fighter, is that willingness that when you are completely tired and you are completely spent, you got to go for it. And that might be crucial right there. Getting the standing count in a close round, in a close fight, late in the fight, that could be the deciding factor, Chad.
Absolutely. And Katie's Corner just said go for it right now. She's tired, so we'll see how aggressive the Killer is right now.
Well, with a nickname like the Killer, you got to assume that killer instinct is exactly there, and Katie Stephenson really lives up to that. I mean, you can tell with even just seconds remaining in the fight, she's going for it. She's tying her punches together. That was a good performance. I don't want to call it a come from behind performance, but a good way to make those adjustments mid-fight and overcome the situation.
Absolutely. Both girls left it both in the ring. Great fight. Great fight from the Beast and the Killer. They lived up to their nicknames.
Yeah, again, I know I'm probably starting to sound like a broken record, but with so many fights on the card, I feel like I got to say it again. Another great fight. And momentarily, we will be getting the official judge's decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 action-packed rounds, we go to the scorecards. And we have a winner by way of split decision. From the blue corner, Katie the Killer Stephenson.
Well, a split decision victory for Katie Stephenson. I mean, the right call, honestly. That was a close back-and-forth war. Both girls having their moments. And honestly, it sounds cliche, but in a fight like that, you really don't have any losers. Both women coming out of it with their heads held high. And the crowd certainly got the experience out of that one. Momentarily getting ready for the 5th fight, and a very special surprise. We will have a guest commentator jumping in the booth to join us. So coming up now, we're going to have Cameron Bond taking on Dustin Metcalf. We will send it over to the ring announcer to get ourselves underway, and the action just keeps on rolling here at, call it Agency Wars, call it Real Estate Rumble, but what it is Movember Mayhem. 80,000 plus raised so far. We are absolutely